Dan Perry here with another Dan on Tech Python video. Now let's get into some actual Python programming. So what we're going to do is we're going to start by going into PyCharm, because that's what we're using for these videos. We're going to create a new project. If you had a project open when you close PyCharm, that project will actually be open by default. We'll create a new project for most of these videos and work in the same project. You can have multiple programs and files in the same project. So let's go ahead and get started. So I've got PyCharm up, and I do have a couple of projects that I had created before, but I'm going to create a new project. And so it's going to ask me where I want to put it, and it starts with the Untitled, so it's going to be in my G drive under Documents in my case, but I'm going to call it Videos 1. And at this point, I could actually just create, but if I open this little project interpreter new virtual environment, I've got some choices. I can actually create a virtual environment, or in my case, I can also do what's called a coda environment. I want to do the virtual environment, and it wants to create some variables for me, or some folders for things, so I'm going to go ahead and accept that. If I had different versions of Python running, and I can choose which one, I'm going to do the Python exe here. I do have actually on my machine a couple of other versions of Python because of some other software I've got running. It's still the Python 3. So I'm going to just accept that. That's all I really need to do. I don't have to worry about making these available to all projects or anything like that in this case. So I'll go ahead and create. And it takes it a little bit of time. It goes in and it creates all your environment variables and everything. It will create a folder in my documents that will be for these videos, and it will create the virtual environment variables and things for it in there. So after a little bit, it will complete. Okay, now we're in this project, and in our project pane here in the left, I see that it's got a videos folder, and if I drill down on it, I can see that it's showing the virtual environment, some places for scripts, library, and such. Now what I'm going to do is I can do this in a number of ways. I can right click here and say New. I can go up to File, New, and I need to create a new program. So I'm going to go New, and it says, what do you want to do? A file, a directory, a package, a Python file, some other things, a Jupyter notebook, an HTML. I'm going to do a Python file, and so it wants to know what I want to call this file, and I'm going to call it Prog 001, and very creative for Program 001, and so it creates that Python file. And now I'm ready to start typing my program. One of the things that you really should have in your programs are comments. There's a number of ways to create comments, but there are two primary types of comments we're going to use. They're going to be single line comments, and they start with the pound or the number sign. And there are docstring comments. These are multi-line comments, and they start with 3 apostrophes. They end with 3 apostrophes, and everything in between are considered comments. We normally use those whenever we create functions and classes to tell about those functions and classes, describe them. And by doing that type formatting, there are some programs out there that will take and go through your program files and look at the docstrings, and it will help you build your documentation based on those docstring files. Now, we won't get into using those comments for a while, but later on when we get to functions and classes, we will. There's a couple of things I normally put in. For the purposes of these videos, it really doesn't matter too much, but I'll normally start with something like the program name. So I'll say program and then say first Python program. Usually put my name. If I could spell my name. And I do the date created. One of the things that I will typically do in a program that may be modified, if once I finish the program, if later on I have to go back and modify, I would add a date modified. I'll typically add a description, just to help me here know what this program is. Now, within the program, I will comment different commands and lines. Now, the typical first program is the Hello World program. So let's just use a print statement since we've used it. And notice we do get code hints. So I can come in here. It's highlighted the word print. So if I hit tab, it will complete part of that for me. Now the print statement's not completed. And when I hit an apostrophe, notice it put 2. It says, hey, usually when you do an apostrophe, you want a closing one, and it put my cursor in between ready to type. And so I'll go ahead and type this is the first program. I want to test it. I do see code hints showing. I've got a little light bulb here, and I can look and say, hey, what does it say? Convert single quoted to double quoted string. Well, if I do that, it changes to double quoted. If I look at it now, I've got the choice of changing it to single quoted, so it's just giving me some hints on things. I'm ready to go. At this point, I'll come up here and click the run and hit the run button. What it does is it gives me a choice of editing configurations, or since this is the only program right now running it, sometimes I may have a list, and I'll go ahead and hit the run. And now I see down in the bottom my output. This is the first program. It tells me up here where it was run from, or how it was run if I go over here. So this would actually be the command line that I would use to run this program. Here's the output of the program, the print statement, and it says process finished with exit code 0, and exit code 0 said it exited the program properly, and we've done our first Python program. Thank you for watching this Dan on Tech video. Please subscribe to this playlist so you don't miss future videos. Please check out and subscribe to our other Dan on Tech channel playlists.